This is the Amy Edwards Show, and we're here to shift into our very best life at every age. Let's go.
If I have an idea of what I want, how do I work backwards to create that out of habit, right? So there's so much work that I do with people where like they want a specific type of life and freedom, but if we really audit their lives, everything is working against it. And when we say, okay, this needs to change in your environment, they're like, well, no, because my family is used to this routine, or I could never ask my partner to do that, or that would be too uncomfortable for a while because we would have to budget this way. And it's like, yeah, like change is necessary. It's not going to be as comfortable as you think. And if you actually want what you want, you can do it and you will do it. But you have to have all of that come to the light.
Hello, and welcome to the show. I'm so excited to kick off 2026 with one of my favorite guests, a friend of the show, and someone who just keeps growing in wisdom and blowing my mind all the time. So a total soul sister of mine. So join me today in welcoming Bijou Finney, aka the Mushroom Mamasita. She is a medicine woman, an integration alchemist, and a retreat creatrix. I hope I said that right. And a total witch in the best way possible. So her work lives at the intersection of plant medicine, education, psychosomatic healing, and visionary life design. She's a coach and facilitator for conscious entrepreneurs, couples, and really anyone, women mostly, but really anyone that wants to come alive more. And she helps people transform past wounds. She helps them clear blocks across pleasure, purpose, prosperity, persona, and power through a blend of somatic practices, plant-based wisdom, and therapeutic coaching. That was a very long sentence.
But I want you to introduce me everywhere I go. That was good.
Yeah, I will. Bring me. I'll introduce you. Even if you're doing like some mushroom work with somebody, I'll be like, and now, here is your host. Here is your integrator. Yes, well, your mission is to help people remember who they are and to move from unconscious reaction states to conscious creation. And I am so very here for that, and listening to our body's signals and treating life as creative expression. So I love you so much, Bijou. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Of course.
I'm so happy to be here too. I could not.
I know.
I know. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm really honing in on action this year. That's something that I've already started talking about on a solo episode. And I feel like you are very much about taking action. And today we're going to dive into the side of authenticity that you don't see and what authenticity actually means. And I like to think about the action side of that and what that really looks like as well. So when we start diving into authenticity, what leaps to mind for you when you think about that for yourself?
Well, I mean, I actually wanted to know what you feel, what you see when you think of either your authentic self, or if you think of a concept of authenticity, if you were like to close your eyes and to think about what that would look like and to feel like, is it positive to you?
To me, it is. It really is positive. I think that there's almost like two different levels of it for me. I'm riffing on this, right? I haven't really prepared this. But what comes to mind is there is this authenticity that's like more surface. That's like, oh, here's me in my natural state without makeup and all that. And today I looked horrible today. My hair was everywhere, and it was like my face looked beat kind of. And Justin was like, "You look beautiful," and I was like, "Come on!" But that's what he sees. He sees my soul, right? But if I were to put that part of myself looking like that on social media, I feel like there's an authenticity there, but I don't feel like that is something that speaks to everyone and they want to see in that way. Whereas if I talk from my soul, that sort of authenticity is something that people are there for. And that is positive in a way, that deeper soul authenticity is positive in a way about being who I present myself to be pretty much all the time. Right. And I remember, I've talked about this on the show before. I remember one time when I was doing these meditations, like, I don't know, on Instagram Live a long time ago. And I hit stop on the Instagram Live and I'm all like, peace, love, meditation, whatever, boobs. No, that was kind of a part of my brand. And, but I was like saying all these things about being wonderful, like living in alignment. And then my dog was getting on my nerves, like while I was filming, and I hit stop. And I yelled at my dog and I was like, I just was not my prettiest self right then, right? And I thought, "Oh my god, is it still on?" And I had this panic, like, I thought maybe that it was still filming, and I was like, "Oh, shit." And it was just a check of me where I was like, "Okay, am I really being authentic in these Instagram lives with who I really am if that's the way I'm gonna talk to my dog?" So I gotta like step up my alignment of who I really am here when I'm presenting to the world and who I am off camera. And so it was just a good little wake up call for me. And I was like, oh man, that's not who I want to be. I really want to be who I say I am all the time. So that was like my authenticity. So to me, it's a good thing. Like it keeps me like aligned and with the soul vibes of who I want to be. I don't think that shows.
I love that. I love that you're bringing up all the different sides of us because I think that there's kind of like a strategy involved. If you want your authentic soul's essence or message to come through, sometimes you have to say it in terms or look the part to be able to get it through to people, right? It's like the wrapper of the candy that they want to unwrap. And so there's that mission, but then there's also like really being seen by a few people. And I personally don't think that we need to be seen in all of our essences by the entire world. Maybe that's your soul's calling, that someone's that's listening's like, I want them to see every bit of me, and that's fantastic for you. But I also love the idea of some of your closest people seeing all the sides of you, and then the world seeing the part of you that feels more of like your soul's mission. But I also love that you're talking about your experience with your sweet puppy Tipsy because um, I think that, and it's something that has come up a lot for me lately, is there's these, when I talk to people about authenticity, they have this beautiful vision of, ooh, it's me being my highest, sparkliest self, and then the world just looking at it in awe and wonder and love. And it's like, yeah, that's a great idea. That whatever is gonna fuel the flames of you actually being yourself, that's wonderful. But I wanna like ground it in reality that there's a lot of an idea of what is highest self and is perfect. And that's like very patriarchal. It's very like be the caring, loving mother, like the nurturer, the sweetheart to everyone, be the highest form of yourself. And to me, I've been trying to integrate what is primal and what is like evolved consciousness because we are both, right? And so I just recently watched the new Avatar and I was very much moved by how they are so conscious beings. They're such conscious beings thinking of deep connection to the planet, deep connection to their purpose, like living in like this beautiful flow and integrity, but they are also going to hiss at you if they want to, right? The women would just be like, and I was like, I love that because like, why can't I do that? Why do I have to be this like super evolved conscious being when sometimes I need to be hissing at people? And that is actually more my authentic self. And so it's like when we talk about your highest self, it kind of implies the end of the journey. Like I feel like we're always evolving and self-love and authenticity to me is loving who you are now, finding your own sense of validation and love in who you are right now, no matter if anyone appreciates it or not. And then knowing what it might look like for you to become the best version of yourself over time and working towards that, but also like really owning who you are. And I think there's a bunch of different ways of doing it. I like doing it through maybe looking at astrology or human design only because it's helped me to see parts. So, like, as you know, parts work to be like, am I supposed to be this sweet, floaty, happy thing? Or am I a lot of fire? right? Like, is that my gift to the world? Is my straightforward, blunt fire? And so it's like, what is good? What is bad? What do people appreciate? What do people not appreciate? And it's like, if we are going to move ourselves and our collective conscious and the community forward, I feel like we have to be playing our specific role. And I'm not saying that astrology and human design are end all be all, but it's kind of like nice little breadcrumbs to test and be like, does this feel like me? It's almost like trying on an outfit and being like, does this feel like me? And can I give myself permission to like lean into this aspect of it? So what do you think about authenticity in the way that, especially for women, when we show up, we very much get pushback. Like, you shouldn't be wearing that at that age. You shouldn't be cussing. You shouldn't be blah, 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 blah. I've gotten so much of, if you're an evolved healer and you're a healed person, you shouldn't be cussing on your podcast. And like, you shouldn't be doing this and this and that. And I'm just like, I think like real me is light and dark, is what you like and what you don't like, right? And so it's holding that is quite challenging. And I think that's why when people start doing authenticity work, they're like, whoa, 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 why isn't this being accepted and appreciated and loved by everyone around me? And it's like, because you've been playing a role for so long and people got really used to that role. And when you start playing a different role, they tend to freak out a bit.
Yeah, they do. They do. I've done that plenty of times and just tried things on for size. Like you were saying, sometimes you just try things on and see how it fits and see how it feels. And I literally just made I was recording some content before this and I made one about stay in your lane. And I'm not a big fan of stay in your lane. Like fucking who says that shit? Who's declaring that that's my lane? Like, what are you talking about? Maybe my lane is really wide, you know? It's me. I can swerve all over.
You would just 5-lane highway.
Damn right. Damn right. There's not even and those are dotted lines anyway, right? So you could go all over if you want to. But I guess kind of like it's more complicated, like what you were saying if you've been playing this part and plus think that I think that sometimes when people are like coming into this work or coming into like seeking authenticity of their own being, I think there's a tendency right off the bat to think that it's only your higher self. And we are actually having this human experience. And if you're going to be authentic, you got to honor that. And just like the avatar beings, right? They're whole beings. And part of authenticity is embracing your wholeness, which I mean, my view of God is this whole thing that's not good or bad. It's just all of it. And so we are all of it. So if you're going to be our authentic self, right? It's that all everything having the human experience and it's light and it's dark and it's hissing and it's loving and it's animalistic and it's all these things. And sure, our soul is in there, right? And that's really the consciousness, right? There's that higher consciousness, but I don't dismiss our human nature, and that is part of this experience that I'm having right now. And I'm going to have all the emotions. And I'm just going to have them all, and that's fine, right? And that's part of my authentic nature, and I'm able to just accept that. And then I think it comes into that self-love of unconditional love, really unconditional. When you're like, yeah, I'm having that emotion. Yeah, I'm pissed off right now. Yeah, my hormones are crazy right now and all over the place. And so I am going to just fly off the handle maybe every now and then. And then you come back and it's just, for me, I think it's a lot about how quickly you come back to a place of peace and presence, maybe. And you're going to have all the rest of it too. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like something that I've been sharing a lot lately and getting into archetypal work, which is that we are a spectrum, like especially women, right? And so when I work with my couples, especially the men that are dealing with or trying to hold the container for their partner that is going through perimenopause or menopause, like Yeah, it's challenging, but it's for a reason, right? And if they're not explained what they're getting out of it or what the purpose of it is, they tend to be like, well, I can't deal with this, right? And so to me, archetypal work was so huge. And what I mean by that is like the spectrum from maiden to mother to wild woman to crone. And we are all of those in 1 month, and men are not. Their testosterone is like this, and we are like this, and it's by design, right? So, like the whole I see the potential in everything when I'm in maiden, and I can create everything, and everything's beautiful, to mother, that I'm gonna like nurture this life and these desires and these dreams into being. And then wild woman, I'm gonna prune the tree and like burn down what doesn't serve me. And then crone is like, to me, crone is authenticity. To me, crone is like, I don't give a fuck what you think about me. I am who I am and I like myself and I'm just gonna be me, right? I'm gonna know that I am God having a human experience, and a human experience is messy, it is emotional, and especially as a woman. And so when I'm working with men, I'm like, you're not leaning into each of the phases as much as you could to be able to like work with it, right? So like what I mean by that is when a woman is ovulating before like she gets to the point of not ovulating anymore, like really lean into that and enjoy the spring. And then during the summer, like lean into that and enjoy that. It's kind of like reaping the benefits of your labor that maybe you put in the fall and the winter. But in fall and winter, really support her, really know that anything that she speaks at those times are truth. And if you listen to them and you let that fire burn away what doesn't serve you, you become a better man, right? Rather than not listening to that and feeling triggered and like turning away. And it's like riding that wave with her and knowing how to support her through that like that's why men can hold, are supposed to hold on a very like natural level. But when their ego is involved and they don't understand what they're doing and they don't understand the role that they're playing and they don't understand what's going on, they tend to like freak out at that, right? And then we see that and we shame that parts of ourselves, and then we keep that silent in us, and then it comes out sideways to the dog, or it like turns into an autoimmune issue, right? And so that's the thing. Like if we really understood what authenticity meant, it's going against a lot of societal norms. It's being yourself even if people don't feel like it's on trend or acceptable. And it's not for the faint of heart. Um it's a very rebellious work at first until you have really harnessed all of that and embodied it and actualized it. And I don't know if like all of the work that goes into it is spoken about as much because it doesn't sell well, right? It's like we're just going to talk about how awesome it is to be your authentic free self, but like what is all the work that goes into doing that?
Yeah, and, I do feel like, though, that it is being talked about a lot more than it used to be. Like, there's so much more of a conversation about menopause. We're not gonna be quiet about it anymore, and, like my mom's generation, I mean, they never talked about it. I have literally no clue when she hit menopause or what
Mhm.
even anything was like for her, and so before that, of course, they weren't even talking about their periods, I don't think. I mean, yeah, so I do feel like we're talking about it a lot more and it's a lot more accepted and people are starting to understand. And I like this approach to authenticity, that it is this acceptance of all these different ways that we present, and there's no, one way that you just have to be, right? And how do you how do you recommend people get more in tune with that when you're working with them?
Yeah, and I know some people might hear this and be like, that doesn't feel like very much accountability is taken by the woman in the situation or anyone in the situation, where it's like I'm giving people this pass to just be an asshole all the time. That's not what I'm saying. It's understanding that there is this very vanilla tolerated um small sliver of the spectrum of the human that is more appreciated and more celebrated, and it tends to do a lot for other people. It tends to burn you out, but give everyone else your best side. It tends to line the pockets of dirtbags. It tends to put a lot of your life force energy out into the world without consciousness of what are you doing? When you say yes to this, what are you saying no to inside of yourself, right? And so to me, it's really taking some time to be in silence and understand what is a desire that is truly mine and not conditioned into me or not what everyone expects of me. And then if I do want to have a very specific outward appearance or personality that comes into a room or purpose driven life that makes a certain impact, if those things really matter to me and I have a little bit of an idea of what are the action steps that I actually need to do to get to them, and what are the boundaries that need to be in place for me to actually actualize that, right? Because a lot of the times we have these dreams in our hearts, and then when I check them with people, they're like, I don't actually really want that. I think maybe that's like what everyone expected of me. Or they're like, yeah, I have this deep desire in my heart, but if I really audit my life and my actions and my time, I am self-sabotaging by giving to others before I have a cup that's full enough to give from, right? And so it's like
Yeah.
really being in devotion to yourself and taking the time to know thyself, to heal thyself, and to expand thyself, and not try to do so much for everyone else because the narrative, like, of you being this huge giver, it really just puffs your ego up and makes you feel like a decent person worthy of love, but it's not actually helping you get to the point where you could actually do a lot for your community and for your soul and for your family.
Is that one of the main things that you see with people? Like they're just overgiving. I mean, we're so conditioned to it, especially as women. I mean,
Oh my gosh. At the holidays, especially, I'm talking to all these women. And I know you said this in a post or in another podcast, even. It's like, ooh, oh my gosh, it really grind my gears where we're talking about this jolly, chubby white man that everyone gives all this credit to for bringing holiday cheer in, when actually all of the happy memories that you have as a child were your parents or your mother, especially, who wrapped all the gifts, decorated the house, thought about what everyone wanted for the holidays, baked everything, actually sent out the cards, actually had the party, actually took you to class and gave all of your classmates this stuff, right? It's like, there's so much unpaid emotional labor and physical labor that is like the magic that people bring to the world that gets whitewashed with like all of this other stuff going on. And it's not like, does that really do what you want it to do, right? It is doing that Christmas card and getting everybody to look the same way and to sit down and smile and to print it out and to send it out. Like, yeah, that's great and all, but like, okay, let's really do the math on that amount of time that you spent.
yeah.
Is that really going to get you? Could that time have been spent on yourself, relaxing, or creating something that you actually want to do? And instead, it's like all these expectations of what does it look like to be a happy, healthy family, right? And it's like,
Mhm.
it's really pulling back on that. And then you might get pushback, like, where's our card this year? Like, what's wrong with you not saying no to that holiday party? Like, what if you didn't stress yourself out to afford this thing that your kid wants just because they heard this other kid is getting it, right? It's like, it's really using a fine-tooth comb and understanding energy leakage and where you're putting your time and energy, and is it really for other people or is it for yourself?
Yeah, it's so often for other people. And I never thought about the Santa thing before. Exactly. Like, oh my God, fuck that. We're giving all this credit to Santa. It's like, no, mom's doing it. I mean, for the most part, I mean, in my experience, like, yes. And I mean, I'm twice divorced for a reason, like I mean, I felt like I was doing everything and that's just one of the reasons really. But there was so much of that I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. This isn't fair. and, uh, and it's just like so inequitable in so many ways as women. And, yeah, I think the more that I got in touch with my true authentic nature, the less I was willing to accept this inequitable thing. And it's still like that though. It still falls on me more here when the holidays rolled around. And I mean, I'm doing more than Justin and all that, but I'm a lot less willing to give than I used to be. And I recognize my codependent nature and all that.
Yeah.
And I mean, then you go like, oh, wait, is my codependent nature my authentic self? No, it's fucking not, So you've got to like kind of discern what's authentic and what's just conditioning.
Yeah, and I mean, I've lived through this, right? Which is, I thought I must really be of service. I must really give to others. I must really just make everyone as happy and as healed as I could possibly be, as I possibly could. And there's this big narrative around taking care of yourself and your own energy and really filling your cup that is like there's a lot of like yuckiness around it. There's a lot of conditioning around that you're a selfish person or that you are a jerk and you're not doing what you should for your family and your community. And I've said this before. It's like the people that are at the top right now, they got there by not giving a drop, right? And they're up at the top, still not giving a drop. But what about all of the people who are super heart-centered? What if they allowed themselves to get up a little bit higher in prosperity and power to then give a lot more, right? Because you can see some beautiful stories of people who have gotten to a really good place and have given incredible things back to their community. And I think it's from having pretty decent boundaries and pretty focused goals. And I feel like there's a lot of people that, like, bless them, they are just the biggest givers, but then they stay in this environment or they stay in this level of prosperity and happiness that has a ceiling that they can't get past because they're constantly burning themselves out. They're constantly putting other people first. And so I know it sounds somewhat triggering to some people when I'm like, what would it look like for you to give to yourself for a little while? And like, where are you really giving your power away all of the time in truly a self-sabotage kind of way? And where are you not receiving help and support because this sense of worthiness or you don't want to be a burden to people or whatever it is, right? Like, where can you start cleaning that up to where you can get to a very full cup? Because like, to me, that's the best gift that you could give your family. To me, that's the best gift that you could give your community is a woman with a full cup pours and pours and pours and pours. Right now, there's a bunch of women with very empty cups still trying to pour. And that's where frustration and resentment and exhaustion and autoimmune comes from in my experience.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And that's been really a big part of my messaging, is that, and that's why I've left marriages. That's why I've taken care of me, right? I've been like, no, I'm going to do what's right for me. And boy, have I taken some flack around it. And I still do. I remember putting a post about something about that on TikTok like years ago. And the men came out in droves, to say something about it. And I was like, fuck off. And and that's the thing. Like we're told that we're supposed to do this role. And so a big part of my message is just like, okay, is coming from a place of overflow, right? To be so full that you're able to give without depleting yourself. Is that a cat? Did I just hear cat? She's in on it. She's like, that's right. That's right. I'm feeling this message. This is some big cat energy. And so yeah, I'm totally in agreement on that. Like that's the whole message here, is that it's okay to understand, and you touched on it. It's about worthiness and it's about value. And if we're talking about true authenticity, then you just have inherent value, period. That is your authentic nature. You matter. You're value. You're worthy. So,
Yeah, and I mean, it's surprising to me how hard of a message that is, or how hard of a understanding that is for people. In all of the programming of you're only worthy if you have certain accolades, if you have certain a certain dollar amount in your bank account, if you're respected by a certain amount of people, if your family is thriving enough, like that. That's what people don't understand is you by yourself, all of the steps that you've walked to get to this point, that's what makes you valuable. That's what makes you worthy. And if you can't love yourself enough to have that kind of experience, then no one is going to be able to, right? And it's this martyrdom that I'm working through with people that is like, if I do all of these things, then I'm worthy of love. But then everyone normalizes it so quickly that they don't even appreciate it. And then they get super resentful because they're like trying to keep the standard of love and light and happiness in the house. And people just take it for granted.
your cat's losing it. No, I completely agree. Here's a shift. See how you like this. We might have talked about this before, but I remember like when I was leaving my second marriage, I was like, I bring so much to the table. It was this very transactional, very like, here's all the boxes I check that I'm bringing to the table. And I was like, okay, finally I was like, fuck the table. And then I was like, there is no table. After I did a lot of plant medicines and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, or just there is no table, right? Like let's just get rid of this altogether. Like, what do you bring to the table? What does he bring to the table? Or it's like there is no table, right? We're all just worthy, just as it is, and we don't have to worry about what we're bringing to the table. It was just such a revelation to me after so many years of thinking like I bring so much to the table. It's like just what you were saying, like, oh, we're doing all these things, and I was constantly like just trying to maintain this level of everything, doing everything. And I'm like, I'm paying the bills, and I'm bringing in money, and I'm taking care of the kids, and I'm putting on a nice Christmas, and and I'm looking great. And, all this, it's just unsustainable at a certain point.
Yeah, especially if it's not appreciated, especially if it burns you out so bad that you're not appreciated or supported in it. It's just like it's this level of expectation and the narrative of what it looks like that, especially nowadays, it's like we're still very much trapped in the past of keep the household looking and feeling like this, and also now go to work and also now be an equal or larger income winner, right? Like, right. It's like no wonder that women especially have a hard time getting into feminine because they are celebrated in their masculine, and when they're trying to like force and push and control and get everything done. And it's so hard to downshift into a different way of being. And as you said, it's like it's super triggering to others when women talk about online, like, I'm going to make a decision for me because the only person that's going to make sure that I have the experience that I have in this lifetime and the experience that my soul wants me to have is me. No one else is going to make sure that that happens. In fact, there's a ton of propaganda and people actually working against that, right? And so it's the ultimate for you to like make the decisions that are right for you, even if people call you a selfish person, even if people call you a broken person, even if people say you're not doing it right, right? It is like
Yeah.
it's so much pushback, and it's challenging, but especially after doing a lot of rewiring work and a lot of deprogramming work, you can't unsee what you see, and you can't stop hearing the whispers of this isn't right. I'm supposed to feel different in this situation.
Yep. Yep. Gosh, and I just wonder, over the course of time, how many women have gotten out of, basic survival into like feeling like this, our grandmothers and great grandmothers and all this. And I know it's so ingrained in us in so many ways, not just societally, not just from other people, but like from what we've seen in our familial, people going way back. And it's just deep in us. And I'm still breaking it. I don't want people to look at me and think that, oh, she's got it figured out. I still have exactly what you were talking
Mhm.
about right then. I still have moments where I'm like, well, he's bringing in more money, so I should do this. And then why am I feeling resentful that he hasn't done dishes, whatever? Oh, now he's got malaria. I better do this. Speaking very specifically there, but I still have to break these and remember that this isn't transactional and I'm allowed to feel how I want to feel. And I am performing in a lot of ways and I can let it go. And it's a process and a practice for me. For me.
Exactly.
I still have
Yeah, oh,
it.
yeah, I mean, that's the lifelong journey that we're on. I don't think anyone has it figured out, especially when I think why so many divorces and huge pivots happen in our midlife because we're like learning all of the rules in the beginning of our lives. And then all of a sudden we're like, these rules are stupid. And then we're like, well, we need to break these rules and we need to figure out our own. Who made these rules? Who did that? Like, you keep following these rules. And then it's like a whole unlearning process and relearning what is right for you. And it takes a really long time. And I think that that's why we are in the wild woman part of our lives where what is not serving us burns away. And it's not a beautiful process from the outside, especially. I think it's a beautiful process from the inside, but it's gnarly. And then eventually you get to crone, which is like, I don't give a shit what anyone thinks. Like, I am who I am. And we've always talked about this. I've always like been um, enthralled with the crone era. I'm like, I want my give a fuck to break now and I don't want to have to wait until I'm 80 and it's a process, right? It's a process, but I just feel so deeply for some of the women that I talk to that are like, oh, maybe in 6 years when my kids are like not here anymore that and maybe once I get my this or that at work, then and they're just like forcing themselves to stay in situations that are just like working so deeply against them and their authentic, like passionate, juicy, lovely sides, right? And it's like they're in a cage of their own making in a lot of ways, not to their fault, but it's like the narrative. It is like you stay for the kids, you stay for the bonus at the end of the 10 years. You stay for this. And then they get there and then they're like, oh, I don't think I should have done that. Right. And it's like the permission slip, it's the hand holding, it's the one person that you can tell how you're really feeling and them not try to gaslight you or them not try to tell you, just stick with it, hang in there, just 10 more years. Right. And it's like, no, I can't. But that's kind of why I come back to like astrology again because it's kind of like understanding your parts and understanding like Virgo placements. Y'all are the ultimate providers in the sense of you could create the most beautiful environment for everyone. And if left to your own devices, you will go too hard in the paint, right? You will make everything perfect for everyone all of the time and really lose yourself. And like Sagittarius placements, I could go too far in the direction of alone and like not in community, right? Just like screw it, this isn't working for me, I'm leaving, right? So it's like understanding your bumpers, your parameters, where am I going to lose myself? Where am I going to run from hard times? It's like understanding those things and like checking yourself and being like, where am I doing this or where am I doing that? Or where am I not in alignment?
How have you seen some of that present for yourself? And like you talked about wanting to just go ahead and not give a fuck, which I mean, you kind of do that already. But but how does this keep coming up for you in your own life? And like what is your practice around it, or how do you notice it?
It's been as you know, a very like multi-year process where I started dabbling in finding parts of myself and then trying to pump myself up enough to want to put them out publicly, and then working through the emotions around what if it's not accepted, what if it's not liked, and then what is the pushback from people that I love and respect. How do I insulate myself from trolls on the internet that I don't care about, but then they say something that makes me like question myself because that question already existed inside of myself. It's like really understanding it kind of as a video game, right? It's like understanding if I'm getting up to multiple levels of authenticity and realness, then I'm going to break some eggs. And how do I ground my nervous system when I do that? How do I ground my nervous system with accepting larger sums of money? How do I ground my nervous system in being real online and getting a lot of pushback or hate back? How do I um, tell people that tell me that I should be living a certain way to fuck off, right? In the nicest way that I possibly can, or in a fiery way because I have a fire stellium. Like, I don't know. It's giving myself permission slips and actually fucking around and finding out and knowing, okay, where can I do better in that type of situation, and where can I give myself a permission slip to be okay with how that transpired, right? It is a whole lot of thought, but it's also a lot of emotional processing and then integration afterwards. So, especially something that really triggers me in the sense I'm coming out in a new way, or I have a pretty fiery experience with someone that I care about, or whatever it is, right? It's not rushing off to do the next thing to keep myself busy. It's sitting with the emotion and the experience of that. So, like doing parts work has been really huge for me, which people call it IFS. Like, they're finding the parts of themselves that are protecting themselves, the parts of themselves that actually want to be expressed and don't have permission to, like they say, the golden shadow. And to me, that's like it's all a theory until you find those real parts. And you only find those real parts in conversation with yourself in silence. And in the real world, you will find your protector parts when someone triggers you, right? And it's meeting them and being like, oh, hello, right? Like let's become friends. Let's understand how I can harness your power for good and not to self-sabotage or keep me in the same place that I'm in. So it
Mm.
is a lot of work that someone could look at it and be like, that's very self-indulgent of you. And it's kind of like, I understand that narrative, right? I understand that I should just be giving and more worried about what everyone else needs from me. But also, like I said, I believe our main job above all other jobs is to understand what our soul came to do. Because in doing so, you're playing the note that you were intended to play in the symphony of life. And then you're modeling that to your children. You're showing up as this like beautifully expressed, fiery, sparkly, juicy self to your partner. You're bringing your gifts into the community, your art, your creations. And I think that without all of that, everyone suffers.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of redefining that you have to do too, like self-indulgent. I mean, yeah, okay, that sounds good. Sounds great. I think we redefine these things selfish. Like we're in this like time of redefining that and reclaiming that, word. And you're like, selfish? Okay, that's a good thing. That can be a good thing. Like, like a spectrum within these words, right? Self-indulgent, like, great.
That's what
Great.
is just so important, right? Like I was trying to come up with a word that's something positive for selfish. It doesn't exist. And it's like, who am I? Like, selfish, did that mean, like, yeah, I'm selfish. Who else am I supposed to be full of, right? I'm supposed to be full of myself, not anyone else. And I'm supposed to be finding out who I am. I'm supposed to be giving my soul the ride that it intended to have in this lifetime. And if I give myself that permission, everyone will benefit. But instead, it's like, no, be the cog in the wheel, like be the thing that we need you to be, produce and and give and be silent and exist in this small spectrum of emotion that we can tolerate, right? That is digestible, that we can understand, and then we can extract things from. And it's like, nah, screw that. Like, I'm gonna be a hard pill to swallow, right? I'm gonna be the jagged little pill. I'm gonna be a thorn in the side. And I guess what I think my soul came to be.
Yeah. And I mean, you're just, I think it's just accepting like yourself as inspiration, you know? You don't have to, you're not a thorn, you're just gross, you know? You're just like,
I know
and that,
to have a thorn.
yeah, that's right. I mean, like, truer words by Brett Michaels, you know, like they're just, that's right. Every rose has its thorn. And I think it's just eh, recognizing the spectrum of all these terms. Like selfish got co-opted somewhere along the way. And and there's the word responsibility, right? You can view it as, oh, I have a responsibility to my kids to live this life and show up for my job and pay the bills. Or do you have a responsibility to honor your highest calling, to show them that there are other ways to proceed throughout life, right? And you don't have to be a cog in the wheel. You know, it's like there's an interpretation that you can make for all these words. And so which one are you going to choose? And then ultimately it's about that freedom of choice, right? And so like I mean I can't I have friends that I love so much that aren't willing to step outside of what's expected of them. And it makes me sad because I'm like, you have so much freedom that you could embrace and you're not willing to do it. And they see me as like, what the fuck are you doing? Kind of a thing. But I just don't care. I'm willing to define my own life.
Yeah, and it being that outlier, being that off-roader that really, even if it triggers people, on some level it plants a little bit of a permission slip, and that grows into something that's right for them. And I just tend to always work backwards to understand who is benefiting from the way that I act and the way that I carry myself.
Mm,
And when I move backwards in time, I'm like, I could have the idea that I'm giving God a human experience. And I trust God. I trust mushrooms. I trust myself. I know that they don't have an agenda, right? And so if I'm doing that as my highest calling and that's the habits that I'm going to build to benefit that narrative versus if I am a cog in the wheel and I am thinking that I'm just here to pay my bills and die, who benefits from that? Right. And when you really start moving backwards, you see that a lot that we're in the predicament that we're in right now, where there's a top 1%, where that makes us feel like a slave planet on some level, right? Like there was that other meme I talk in memes, which is like there's there's 500 people on the planet, and then that we're the rest of us are all just their staff, right? We're the ones building their businesses, we're the ones cleaning their homes, we're the ones lining their bank accounts, and it's just like, yeah, I'm kind of done with that. I'm kind of gonna do what's right for me and stop playing and paying into these rackets. Like a lot of these things are just bullshit that make you feel like you actually have a say in your life and you don't. Like the medical
I know.
system, the financial system, all of it, the political system, it's just a joke. And I think people are really starting to see it now. And so that's a very scary place to be because that's the structure that you were taught to depend on and to trust. And when you start seeing the cracks in it, it really calls you back to your empowered sense of self, which is like, I can really only trust myself. I can really only believe in myself and my community, my smaller community around me, my partner, my family. And it's like, how do I build those relationships and beef those up and make myself feel like I can manage this, right? Because if you go too far out, you start really feeling disempowered.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I saw Gary Vee talking the other day, and he was like saying, "Oh, years ago I predicted everybody should go to TikTok. Everybody should go to TikTok." And then he's like, "Now I'm predicting, and he was like, and then TikTok blew up and people didn't do it." And he goes, "Now I'm predicting that everybody needs to be selling on these platforms." And I'm like, selling for who? Like, fuck that, right? I am not gonna be selling for Amazon. I buy from Amazon. Look, I'm just, like, beholden to it just like everybody else, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna, like, spend my time lining Jeff Bezos's pockets on my social media. I'm just not, you know? And I was just really like, selling for who? Like, what are we doing if that's what we're being rewarded for? And I was like, that's a no. That's a hard no. And I just think that, you just gotta look beneath the surface like you were saying. What are we doing? What are you really, if you're working backwards, who's benefiting from this? And you know what? I had this is my new theory today, and it kinda goes with what you were saying. I just was thinking, like, I see a lot of these posts, I bet you do too, where women get these trolly comments from men, and then they kind of, like, expose them, and they're like, "Here's the guy that is," and they'll put a picture of him holding a fish or whatever it is, right? They pull it off his social media. I'm not sure that those guys exist. I'm thinking maybe they're all made up, and they're all trolling, right? In order to keep us all angry and online
Mhm.
and on their platforms. And so I think we're being duped all over the place, and the people benefiting are the
Yeah.
Zuckerbergs, right? The 500. And so I am like, I like it just do you think that these trolls probably are fake? They're
Oh,
bots?
100%. There are people that are proving that. Like, there's so much of the internet that is dead. There's so much of the internet that
Yeah.
is trying to get people to fight over the sensational political ideas so that they stay on the internet. And it's like, yeah, they're feeding into the animal side of us that is focused on fear and control. And it is siphoning our energy. It is utilizing
Yeah.
our imagination. It is taking our attention away from things that matter. It is inflaming our systems. And then we are going to take care of our children and our businesses with these like spun up like nervous systems. And it makes you feel overwhelmed. It makes you feel like I almost feel like how blatant some of the ridiculousness of our political system that's being shown right now is being shown instead of hidden like it was in the past to like deepen the narrative that you are not in control and ridiculousness is going to happen whether you like it or not, right? Like the more that we are like, wait, this is not okay, and then nothing happens because of it, it just reinforces subconsciously the narrative that like it doesn't matter what you say. Like right is not going to prevail in this. And you are really just like powerless in this whole situation. And then that's really when people start getting very anxious, sick, sad, depressed, and want to disengage from the system, right? And so it's going to be a wild world. It's going to be really interesting where a lot of people are going to go back to more human connection, going to go back to to failure and flaw, right? Like you don't learn unless you quote unquote fail. You don't really have access to all of your power without understanding your shadow and without loving your flaws, right? Because if you turn away from your shadow and you don't love your flaws, that's how people can use those against you. That's how you don't excel. And so I think more and more people are going to go deeper into understanding themselves and wanting human connection, wanting in person, choosing artists and people who are making things by hand versus using AI. It's going to be this big like shift between the two, I believe. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's super challenging, and I think part of this level of the video game that is like wild. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that that's such an interesting point about authenticity too. Like we're so worried about what random ass people think, and they're probably not even people.
And also, they're just a I love that you're saying that because it's like, yeah, what if you just thought those people aren't real? I mean, it doesn't matter because you're never going to run into them in public. So why not just think that they're not real? And then that gives you the permission slip to just do your own thing. And on top of that, if there's anyone in the world that is your best friend, your mother, your partner, whatever, would you trade places with them?
Wait, so what? If there's
So
anybody in the world,
So if
would
you're
you trade
taking
places?
advice from someone or
Oh, right.
you're taking what they think you should be doing or you're considering their stance on a decision that you're going to make, would you take their place? Would you live their life? And if the answer
That
is no, then what the hell are you doing? Right? If the person has not been where you're going or you don't want their life, then why are you listening to their opinion? Why are you caring in the back of your mind if it's going to embarrass them or trigger them or make them upset?
Right, right, right. Like, there are these good little checkpoints that we can just ask ourselves to recalibrate into like, I'm good, I'm fine, like everything's all right, and not panic over over these fabricated things that we've invented, or you know, am I the shoulds, the supposed tos.
Hmm. Yeah. And it's like a really interesting thing that I've seen lately where I've seen a lot of content creators say, and I'm sure you heard this before, where they're like, I blew up when I started another account, blocked everyone that I knew from high school, college, and my family, and just started putting myself out there authentically, and I just blew up, right? Like there's so many of those stories, and I think that that is so interesting because it's like, yeah, it is this cage that we create of other people's ideas of ourselves or past iterations of ourselves that people expect us to be that we're still holding for them. That when we free ourselves from them, we tend to like really blow up in a certain kind of way. And I find it to be super interesting.
It is interesting. It is interesting. I mean, I'll still do it. I'll make something and then I'll be like, oh God, what if, so and so sees this? And then they're gonna be like, what is she doing? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I had a friend once even say that to me, and he was like, well, you kind of embarrass yourself. And I was like, oh God, that's harsh. And I just had to luckily completely let go of all these things. I mean, they'll still crop up. It's still a practice for me to be like, like, okay, there's that thought again. I can let it go. So
Oh my God, it's
it's a
so hard.
process.
It's so hard. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and 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 it's like such a mind fuck because it's like, no, you are embarrassed of yourself. And also the fact that you said it and part of it triggered something in me means I'm embarrassed of myself too. So like let's work through this together to not be embarrassed of ourselves, right? Is like really leaning into the cringe and really getting to the point where there's these facades. They're not even real of like what is embarrassing, what is not. And it is really like that's your idea of what a woman should be, your idea of what an influencer should say, your idea of this or that. And that really has nothing to do with what I'm doing here.
Nice. I actually felt bewildered when he said that. I was like, "Oh gosh, what did I do?" I don't even know. Just am I? Like, who? Me? What? Yeah, so, and that was years ago. So, I mean, I've put out plenty of content people could, judge, and that's okay. It's just all okay at the end of the day. I think that, something that you said reminded me of the work of Byron Katie and just like, is it true? Can I really know it to be true? How do I feel if I can't think this thought, or how do I feel when I think this thought? What if I couldn't think this thought? And, usually you get back to freedom, and it's just about freeing yourself to be what you are right now and letting that be okay, right? Whatever that is, wherever your hormones are, whatever you're feeling, it's all okay. And I think it's just ultimately so much freedom. But I love these processes and these questions that you're asking. And getting us more in touch with what we really want and who's really benefiting. And like, is this something I've been conditioned to think, or is this something that is truly me? And um, how do you suggest that people get those into a habit? And what are the most effective questions to ask? Like, how can we simplify it, I guess? And what would you recommend if somebody wants to kind of just start proceeding with this and get it like in a little habit?
That's a really good question. It's something that I've helped a lot of people with, which is why it kind of lended to or helped me to create a framework, which I but it's not one of those whole 10-step processes or like this worked for me, so it's going to work for you. It's really more of a discovery process where it's a lot of like journal prompts and suggestions to really find out if I have an idea of what I want, how do I work backwards to create that out of habit, right? So there's so much work that I do with people where like they want a specific type of life and freedom, but if we really audit their lives, everything is working against it. And when we say, okay, this needs to change in your environment, they're like, well, no, because my family is used to this routine, or I could never ask my partner to do that, or that would be too uncomfortable for a while because we would have to budget this way. And it's like, yeah, like change is necessary. It's not going to be as comfortable as you think. And if you actually want what you want, you can do it and you will do it. But you have to have all of that come to the light, right? You have to understand what's working against you. What are some of the strengths that you have that you're not harnessing to the best of your ability in your favor? Where is your energy leaking? All of that is really, really important. So I've put that together for people, and I tend to work with people one-on-one on that, but I put it together as a bundle and I'm putting it out. I put it out in the new year.
Oh, awesome. Oh my gosh. Cool.
Yeah, you can link it in the show notes, but it's a lot of questions that if we sit with in silence, we can understand how can I start in a manageable way to not overturn my entire life and to just chip away at the parts of my life that really need to start working in my favor. How do I reclaim my energy? How do I reclaim my time? How do I reclaim my attention? And how do I really connect with the version of myself in the future that I'm trying to work towards versus just surviving the day, right? There's so many people that I talk to that are heads down, just trying to get the kids to school, just trying to make their bosses happy, just trying not to fight with their partner. And that uses just as much energy as being really thoughtful about living in a certain way with devotion to where you're trying to go.
Those are the types of things that you were talking. That was my next question. Was like when you say the things that aren't working for you, is that what you mean? Like those types of examples are just surviving and getting through it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
there's so many things that are they're just habits, right? So it's like
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
I want more sex with my partner, but my kid is used to sleeping in bed with me and I don't want to tell my kid no, right? It's like your kid gags like 7 years in your bed. Like, I think that's enough, right? Like, let's go through what it's going to look like for you to actually make this change. And it's like the pain of making that change really keeps them from doing it because they can't really feel into the what's on the other side of that, how good that could really do, right? So it's like that moment of pain and anguish for them and the people that they love am experiencing for a greater good that'll eventually get us to a better place, right? And so it's like really, like I said, fine tooth combing, understanding like where does your environment need to shift? Where are the narratives that are not yours ruling your life? Where do you not even have vision of what you're working towards? And it's those big questions that then really inform the habits. I think that it needs to be incredibly custom. I think people really need to understand what is the program and the narrative that's running my life in a subconscious way. Where is my environment optimizing towards comfort and it's really sucking my soul? And where do I need to take more risk or where do I need to like really double down into myself? And what am I even doing this for, right? And it's reconnecting you to that and working through any pain that you have around not being there yet. There's so many people that won't even look at their goals and the highest version of themselves because they're just they think that it's not possible, or they think they should be there by now, or there's just like this wound around not being able to get there, so they won't even look, right? They won't even look in that direction. And it's like we got to work through all of that. We have to think about it, we have to feel through it, and then we have to take aligned action.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you have to take the aligned action, which you don't have to be perfect about. You just have to proceed. Just proceed. Just take a step.
Always
You know?
forward. Always forward, even if it's one tiny step and one boundary, one habit change, one narrative shift.
And it's usually we build it up in our mind to be a lot harder than it actually is. At least I do. Like even like I love your example of the kids sleeping in the bed. I mean, oh my gosh. Like how many people do that and they build it up in their minds like it's going to be so hard, but it's not. It's like one night of hard and then the kids sleeping in their own bed. You're like, "Oh my god, that was much easier than I thought." Or
Mhm.
you know, yeah, it's wild, right? We build it up to be a lot harder, and then it's just at least I do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times where I was like putting something off for so long and then I did it. And I'm like, what? That was like so easy. And it, like I benefited so much from that being done because it was just this open tab in my mind all of the time. And why didn't I just do that? And it's like, because sometimes we have to really feel into the pain of the stuckness that we're in. And then we sometimes need someone to help hold our hand. So if you do end up asking yourself these questions from this podcast, or if you do look into the questions that I'm offering, have some type of accountability. Like do it with your partner, do it with a friend, like really hold your feet to the fire. Because if you can do it for a certain amount of time, it really turns into who you are. And it really just becomes easy for you to maintain that and not letting yourself get overwhelmed, but sticking with it and seeing it as devotion. Like that was such a huge narrative shift for me. It was like, I'm not eating well and working out because the doctor tells me that it's better for me. Like I can't, it's not juicy enough for me to understand what I'm working towards. It's not self-love coded enough. It's very sterile. And like I was like, what is the narrative and what is the vision of me and what is like this undying love that I have for myself that I'm giving myself in moving my body and eating well? And then like how can I pleasure code eating well and moving my body and not do it in the way that I see everyone else doing it, right? And it's like really understanding that for yourself, which I have seen in my own life and in others really makes a difference.
Oh, it does. Well said. I love that. And like really, yeah, like making it more self-love coded. I mean, that makes such a difference for me in so many ways. So I love that. I love that. Okay. So as we're wrapping up, I love your new offering, by the way. Congratulations. Very cool. And as we're wrapping up today, what would you like to leave everybody with as we depart on this conversation?
Oh, I think it's that last year was challenging for a lot of people and for the collective by design. It was a 9 year, it was a year of endings. Everything that didn't serve us tended to crumble and fall away. So, relationships, jobs, identities, friendships, like all kinds of things ended. People passed away. We lost a lot of the shadow came to the surface because it needs to be seen for us to be able to evolve as a collective, is my understanding and belief. And this next year is a 1 year, which is fire year. It's the fire horse. So it's like, go get stuff done. So your intuition, being focused on aligned action is spot on. I think that it really is doing this cool audit of what do I need to leave in this last year and what do I want to carry forward and how can I reclaim some of my true identity, some of my own energy, and how can I make sure that I am giving myself the experience on this planet that I am intended to have. And it's just those types of conversations you can have with yourself, with your journal, with your friends, with your partner, your therapist, that I think we really need to be doing because um, a lot of healing has been done. A lot of self-help work has been done. A lot of intellectualizing has been done. But now we really need to feel the feelings, move on, and take the aligned action, the energy into movement forward. If you align yourself with the cosmic energies, I think you'll feel the flow a lot easier. And so, yeah, just let the old stuff fall off, let it compost, and let it bring new fruit into your life in this coming year.
I love that. Good analogy. Let it compost. Get your new fruit. That's so beautiful. Well, if everybody wants to get your new offering, of course it's going to be in the show notes, but can you share how everyone can find you if they want to go find you, follow you, all those good things?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. So link in my bio will have the link to that. I made it really accessible and affordable for people to really do that. If you want extra support, I'd be honored to help you, or I definitely have a website which will be linked in there. Those are the two places I kind of tend to hang out. And then, of course, I have my own podcast that you need to be on in this coming year, too. And yeah, a lot of good stuff.
I would love to be. And yes, you have a lot of good stuff. So we'll put all that in the show notes. Everyone can find you, listen, and hopefully, enjoy your new offering because it's really powerful stuff if we're really looking to move forward with action. And I mean, the stars are here for it. So yay. I like that. We're in flow. So it's awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bijou. I love you so much. And thanks for this beautiful conversation. I really, really enjoyed it. And it made me think more about my own aligned action and my own authenticity. So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me and for always showing up. You've always been an inspiration to me, giving yourself permission to be yourself, dabble in a ton of awesome things, and really find yourself along the way. I have just loved watching you as a friend and as a spectator. And thank you for anyone who's listened to us this whole time, because we are just two crazy ladies out in the internet world, and we have our opinions, but we appreciate you for listening to it and chewing on it a bit and seeing where it takes you.
Ditto that. Absolutely. So thank you so much. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Whew, man, that was like kind of intense. I didn't, when I have to answer questions, I like sit here and I'm ready to just ask the questions. And so I had to put my thinking cap on a little bit more than usual. And I have not eaten enough today. And that makes a difference. But here we are, whatever. We're being authentic. We're being ourselves. Who knows? Maybe we're going to have different opinions tomorrow. And that is perfectly fine. That's part of this whole journey and this whole thing that we're doing and figuring out and living, LIVIN, y'all. So I am all excited about the action though. And I love what she said, that the stars are working in our favor right now. So yeah. So let's keep taking those steps forward. If you haven't listened to my first episode of the year, I will link it in the show notes too, because it was all about action that I've taken and how good it feels to keep taking those steps. So, and just some practical ways that we can continue to do that. So I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our editing team, Podcast Magician. They are magicians. I love it. Love their name. And thank you just to you for being here. Of course, follow the show. Check out my new show with my co-host, Whitney Strop. It is called Anything But Mid Comedy Wellness. And it is going to follow this show just a little bit, because sometimes we take topics that we've done here and we dive into how they look in the real world and are they actually working for us and how are we incorporating them into our lives. So I am loving doing that too. So it's a good little companion podcast. Connect with me too, the newsletter, of course, or on social media at Real Amy Edwards. You can always DM me there and respond to my newsletter. I see every reply. And so I love doing this so much, and I'm so grateful that you're here. So remember to keep shining bright. Till next time. Thank you so much for being here. Please rate, review, and follow us. And we'd love to hear your feedback. Keep shining bright.